Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining me at this time. This is the weekly transmission or live broadcast by Born to Lead, and it is meant to teach us and give us a broad understanding of the concept of leadership. I would like to appreciate everyone for agreeing to come on live at this hour, and I would like to just be pleased to have you interact with me, as it were, from time to time. As we usually do on this platform, we speak on diverse topics and give room for individuals to um, share their perspectives, their understanding, and the issues that they are learning from this weekly broadcast, as it were. Today, I'm going to be talking about transformational leadership, or at least the difference between transformational leadership alongside um transactional leadership style. So these are the things that I'll be working on this hour, and I do hope that as you join me, you'll get a hang of the things that we will be discussing this afternoon. Now, just in order to make this a bit exciting, like I usually say, please do feel free to interact with me, as it were. If you have any form of discussions, if you have any suggestions, if you have any questions, please feel free to raise those questions and interact with me, as it were, on the comment section. So it depends on whether you're watching from Facebook or from YouTube, just whatever of the two channels you are joining me from. Feel free to send in your comments, feel free to make statements and to raise issues that you seem to be understanding from what I am making effort to get us to understand. So again, thank you so much for joining. Now, before I go further, I have a bit of an announcement that I would like to make, and it should be exciting to everyone who is joining or who has consistently followed this live broadcast from time to time. Now, in 2021, that's next year, Born to Lead will start a BTL, or Born to Lead Leadership Academy, from the very first day of February 2021. I do hope that this comes as exciting to everyone who is um, who is listening at this moment, because the idea is to start up a leadership academy. In my interaction with a number of people, I've come to realize that so many of us do not know the value of leadership over our lives. And I've quoted several times John Maxwell, who says that everything rises and falls on leadership. And I've cited several examples. And my most popular or most exciting example is that of Israel as a nation, a very small land with 8 million people, yet with vast agricultural resources. Okay? What is most important is the fact that Israel is a desert land. Okay? Israel is a desert land. So apart from the Sea of Galilee, the River Jordan, the bulk of Israel is a desert land. Okay? Israel gets rain maybe just 2 hours in an entire year. Yet Israel has become the foremost agricultural nation in the world. Why? Because they have stood and understood the value of leadership. The the leadership works for Israel. Leadership works for Israel, and that has made Israel a foremost nation as far as agriculture is concerned. And Israel has tied that up with technology. So they now farm technologically, so to speak. I remember a few years ago that I traveled to Israel, and I met someone who said he had just finished farming for the day. And guess what? It was in his room when he discovered or when he declared to me that he had farmed for the day, because all that he needed to do on the farm was placed on his laptop, and he controlled the farm from his laptop. Okay, as fertilization, watering of the farm, or well, irrigation as we may call it, and so on, was done via technological control. Now, why is that so? In my view, it is so because leadership has worked for Israel. They do not, they looked away from what should have been a disadvantage and turned it into an advantage. All right. So this is why I'm passionate about leadership, and I'm passionate to say to people that come next year, 1st of February 2021, BTL will start a leadership academy. It will be in dual form. So one form will be online, the other form will be some physical meetings. Again, I can assure you that for every class, every session that you attend, you will go home with an assignment that should transform your life, with an assignment that should get you thinking for life, with an assignment that will keep you in tune with the concept of leadership as far as it's concerned. Now, our concern, our thought, our idea is not so you become a political leader. No, our concept is for that first and foremost, you will lead your life perfectly. You lead your life in a way and manner that others should learn from. Okay, that's what we're pursuing. That's what we're driving at. That you live in a way that others will see and know that there is a remarkable difference between you and other persons. Okay, so some of the courses that will come up are the course, well, understanding leadership, the philosophy of leadership, leading in crisis situation. The world is in a crisis at the moment. We've been on and off as far as Corona is concerned. We've been going back and forth, and some nations have risen up to the occasion, while others are busy denying that. And basically, it's because of the kind of leadership that has been made available. Okay, your response to COVID-19 will be based on the kind of leader that you are. While some are denying, some have accepted it and are living to make a change even in this situation. So again, courses like Leadership Challenge, Styles of Leadership will be discussed during this period. There are so many other courses outlined for this. But the bottom line is to get you to understand that on the 1st of February 2021, the 1st of February 2021, BTL will begin a leadership course or a leadership academy. And we encourage you to register and be a part and parcel of that academy. Now, my guess is you'll be wondering, how do I register? I will begin to unfold the methods of registration through the Facebook, through Instagram, and YouTube, so you'd understand how you can be a part and parcel of that academy if you want to be a part and parcel of it. And again, it comes at a cost, but very, very minimal cost. In comparison to the things that you would learn, you would see that you would see that the cost is extremely minimal. And we'll do that so that we can get everyone to understand and to believe in the concept of leadership. So that's what BTL will be doing come February next year. Now back to what we shall be discussing today, even as I make effort to talk about the difference between transactional leaders and the difference between transactional leaders and transformational leadership. Now, I will begin by attempting to define these two concepts. Okay? I'll begin by attempting to define these two concepts, the concept of transformational leadership and the concept of traditional or transactional rather. So transformational and transactional leadership. These are the things we shall be talking about today, and hopefully, as you join us, you will have a hang of it and you enjoy what we'll be talking about even this afternoon. Please just bear with me. The light seems to be dangling, so I'm trying to make a good adjustment of it. Now, so by way of definition, okay, a transactional leader, just as the word transaction sounds, is a leader who deals and believes in bargain. All right. So a transactional leader is, or leadership style is one that values order and structure, and also values bargains. So the transactional leader is one who deals in terms of transaction as he relates with followers. Okay. And I use the word followers here um, educatedly or cautiously, because transactional leaders do not believe in making other persons leaders. They just believe in having followers, and even as they have followers, their style and method is that first they believe in an order or a structure, and so they do not give room for flexibility and do not give room for changes, as it were, in a structure that they have come to adopt over time. So transactional leaders are those who is that which that style that motivates followers or other leaders. You see again my um, placing other leaders, because transformational leaders, okay, are people who believe that everyone is a leader, and therefore their effort, the effort that they make, is to be able to transform everyone to become the leader that he or she has been created to become. Okay, now transformational leaders are leaders who allow other leaders or allow followers and other leaders to take ownership of their own roles and responsibility and to perform beyond expectations. So transformational leaders do understand that we all have been born to lead. Okay? They also understand that knowledge does not reside with one person. They also agree and understand that everyone should be given room to express his or herself. Those are transformational leaders. People who believe that all other leaders should be allowed to transform and become leaders and take up leadership roles and responsibilities. They do not believe that leaders should be dictators, or they should impose their will over other people. These are transformational leaders. And from the definition, you can see that there is a whole world of difference between transactional leaders and transformational leaders. Okay? So today we will just dwell on trying to understand what the differences are, and to see and to understand what can be done to ensure that we all migrate from the status of being transactional leaders into being transformational leaders. Some of the greatest leaders, men and women that have lived on earth, have been transformational leaders, people who believed also in passing down values, people who believed in raising up other people to be like them. Okay, men like Mahatma Gandhi, who many years after he's died and left India, India has continued to remember him and has continued to talk about his legacy. Martin Luther King Jr. finds himself in that category also. Men like Nelson Mandela, the foremost African leader, who had lined up a number of people to take over him even after he had departed. And somehow that structure has continued to unfold over time, because He thought of yesterday and not just about today. Okay, so this is the huge difference between a transactional leader and a transformational leader. So the first difference that is noticeable between these two categories of leaders is the fact that while the transactional leader thinks about today, the transformational leader thinks about tomorrow and the benefits that can be obtained even beyond tomorrow. Okay, so transactional leaders just look at today, they look at the immediate benefits, and for that purpose, they enter a transaction of give and take, so to speak. They believe so much in rewarding hard work, in rewarding effort. They do not believe in rewarding vision. Okay? They also do not believe in transferring vision to people. All they believe in is let us do this today, let us achieve this today, and forget about tomorrow. Again, you find this kind of leaders all across globe. All right? There are leaders of companies that have taken over the reign of companies for 10, 15 years. And as soon as they moved on from those companies basically forgot about them because they did not fish out for replacements. They did not make an effort to get people to take over from them. All right? Their gain was about today and today only. Okay? Again, you find this particularly in football clubs where one coach goes, another one comes in, and the styles of the team changes almost immediately. Just by the change of coaches, the style of the team changes almost drastically that you cannot recognize the same team under one coach from another. But there are teams that have moved from coaches after coaches, and yet their styles have remained the same. Why? Because they have transformational leaders, people who look at tomorrow and not just today. So, transformational leaders, all right, look at the future. They seek better benefits. They seek benefits that are larger than themselves. In fact, their consideration is not about themselves. Their consideration is about the organization. Their consideration is about people. Their consideration is about the future, not just about today. All right. There are so many people who just concentrate on today, who seek to gain all the profits that they can gain today, and that's all that they worry about. Okay. So transformational leaders are people who go beyond just looking at today and thinking about tomorrow and so on and so forth. So these are some of the things that are associated with transformational leaders, as it were. Okay, so that's one difference. Vision. The transformational leader is visionary. The transactional leader is about today, just thinking about today. What are some other differences that we can see that are associated with this? So the transactional leader, what a transactional leader thinks about is about tax and reward. Tax and reward. So if you go to an organization and you have a transactional leader, he places people on salaries, for example, based on the tax that they are able to carry out. He rewards them with bonuses and benefits only based on the tax that they are able to carry out. In fact, my guess is that people who came up with the issue of overtime were people who were transactional, such that they bargain for your time, they buy off your time. Okay? And so if you're able to put in more time, they are able to reward you even more. That's who transactional leaders are. And just like the word transaction sounds, this is what these leaders do. They are transactionary as far as their relationship is concerned with followers. Again, they do not bother about training other people to become leaders. They are just concerned about you doing things in the way and manner that is beneficial to them, and then they can grant you a reward even for that purpose. Okay? Those are transactional leaders. More so, okay? More so, transactional leaders lead exceptionally. When I say they lead leadership by exception, it means that they exclude others from attempting to lead. Okay? They exclude others from attempting to lead. As far as they are concerned, they are leaders and no one else should consider leading. No one else should ever think of sharing their leadership roles and positions with them. That's all that they are concerned about. They are concerned that leadership is for an exclusive club, no more, no less. And they have found themselves as part and parcel of this exclusive club. And so no one else should share leadership with them. That's how they see life. Okay? That's how they see life. So you cannot do anything to get them to vacate their seat for you, or to get them to train you to be able to occupy their seat someday. No. They just think that leadership is for an exclusive club, and they happen to be a part and parcel of that club, and therefore there is nothing that anybody can do to persuade them from holding on to leadership exceptionally. Okay? Also, transactional leaders give few opportunities for creative thinking. In fact, they wouldn't mind that you don't think. Okay? They wouldn't mind that you don't think at all. As far as they are concerned, you have no right to think. Okay? You have no right to think. Such that even if you think and come up with fantastic ideas, because they have made up their minds about the idea that they have, they will allow you to do all your planning. They will allow you to do all your talking. But once it comes to their table, they, with a stroke of the pen, rule you out completely. All right? These are transactional leaders. Whether out of fear or concern, they do not think that they should share their position with anybody. They do not think that they should give any other person the opportunity to creatively think. When they give you a task and a responsibility, they just tell you what they want. And woe betide you, you think outside the box. They will shut you down and close the door against you, almost without any consideration. All right? They will stop you from attempting to be creative. And you and I know that for a certain, all right, every human has a creative instinct depending on the topic of discussion. Depending on the topic for discussion, every human has creative instincts. Okay? The world is such a beautiful place because every human can creatively think. Someone created the football boots. Okay? I'm sure you will recollect many years ago when football boots were all black with black shoelaces. Then one day, someone thought creatively and came up with colorful football boots. These days, virtually every player uses a different color of a football boot. Why? Because someone creatively came up with an idea to create football boots of multi-dimensional colors. Such beautiful boots, so that on the football field, you see varieties and people identify with these colors based on their own level of thinking or creativity. Okay? Again, before now, all football laces used to have, all football boots used to have football laces. But these days, not all have football laces. Some are just slip-on shoes, as it were. Okay? Why? Because companies like Nike, like Adidas, and so many other popular sportwears gave room for creative thinking. But the transactional leader hinders people from thinking creatively. Okay? He or she hinders people from creative thinking. One more thing is that the transactional leader makes all the decisions in an organization, all the decisions in a family, all the decisions in a group of friends. The transactional leader makes decisions, okay, such that even if it were your idea that was pronounced and adopted or acceptable by all other persons, because the transactional leader wants to show that he or she is in control, he would overrule you and make a decision, take a decision that comes from him, basically. And when I use him, I am using, or he, I am using it in a generic term. All right, so it applies to all sexes, as it were. Okay, it applies to all sexes, as it were. So, transactional leaders are people who are bent that on making decisions, or who insist that decision making must be by leaders. So you work in an organization, you work in the fuel dump, and gas is running out. You need to make decisions quickly to get this gas. Transactional leaders will say, don't make that decision. Let us know that the gas is running out. We'll decide when to buy gas. Okay? They set up structures in such a way that no one else can make a decision on critical matters regarding the organization, or even on loose, flimsy matters regarding the organization, except themselves. Except themselves. Now, in that manner, what happens is that they shoot themselves on the foot. Again, you and I will know that will slow decision-making process. Okay? That will destroy the inspiration of other persons, so to speak. All right? That will demotivate members of the organization. That will kill the spirit, the push that should come from other members within. These are transactional leaders. One other thing that they do is that they give limited opportunities for followers to be involved. The reason why you have directors in public organizations is the fact that there is a closed circuit of leadership. And some, let me use the word unwise directors will not hear from subordinates before attending directors' meetings. And so when they go, they are speaking things that are not in tandem with the heart, with the thought, with the desires, with the concept of supposed followers. Now that ruins organizations. That shatters organizations. That kills the motivation and the drive of people around. When you create limited opportunity for creative thinking, When you limit opportunities for followers to be involved, you shut them out. You shut them out. I was somewhere a few weeks ago where um, workers resumed at 8 a.m. and closed at 4 p.m. Now, there has been a change in leadership of that organization. Now, before this change, the leader that was there was such a friendly leader who listened to everybody, gave everybody the opportunity to speak up, all right, to say their mind, to speak their heart, as it were, and to make suggestions as to the growth of that organization. Now, because of followers' involvement, they were so comfortable at work that even when it was 4 p.m. closing time, they really felt the need to close because there was this deep motivation from within. They were highly motivated, so motivated that, all right, they were so motivated that every time they wanted to churn out more opportunities, they wanted to reel out more opportunities to do more for the organization or for the growth and the betterment of the organization. That's what these people always did. Incidentally, there has been a change in the leadership structure. So the leader had to retire and to be away. Then a younger leader came up, and people were expecting that that younger leader would have been different. Well, of course, he is different, but they had expected that things would grow from the position where they were to something higher, greater, and better. But the truth is that there is a change, but a downward change, a downward slide in change. Now, because there is a downward slide in change, what I realized last week was that once it was 4 p.m., the administrator of that organization got up and said, well, it is 4 p.m., and by the rules of this organization, by 4 p.m., I should have closed. And he closed. It was shocking to me. Well, it wasn't so much shocking to me, but it was highly unexpected. Okay? I did not expect that anyone, if anyone would even speak, that it would be the administrator speaking to say that it was 4 p.m. and that he needed to go and be away for that period of time. It was surprising, but you know what? That is the reality. That is the reality on ground. That a leader has come and has demotivated fellow leaders, so such that the others, the organization or staff of the organization now feel demotivated and think that it was no longer their business to work beyond a particular time. All right. If you must be a good leader, you must be a transformational leader. One who considers the staff, okay, one who considers people in the organization and tries to make things better for people in the organization. That way, um, that way you will be motivating members of the organization to be able to play their role as far as life is concerned. So please, if you must be a leader, be well, not that if you must be, because by the way, every one of us is a leader. But if you must choose, you must be a transformational leader, one who transforms the organization and the institutions for the better. Okay? Now, having spoken about transformational or transactional leaders, what are the things that transformational leaders are that is different from being a transactional leader? The transformational leader, all right, has these 4 factors going for him. And I would encourage every one of us to adopt these 4 factors and to make them a part and parcel of our leadership, such that every time we perform, members of our organizations, members of our families, members of our institutions will be will be open to our leadership style. Okay? They will feel pleased, they will feel comfortable to be a part and parcel of our leadership style. The first thing that the transformational leader has going for him is that he has what is called idealized influence. In other words, he has a high standard of leadership. He expects that everybody should grow to the point of near perfection. Okay? And then he has a high standard of becoming a role model for others to follow. Okay? He does not believe in leading by what he says. He or she believes in leading by what they do. So, transformational leaders are people who transform their organizations first and foremost by what they do. Okay? Because they believe that leadership begins with them. They lead by example. Okay? They do not say, climb the mountain when they have not attempted to climb. So they climb the mountain only after, or they instruct that people climb the mountain only after they have attempted and only after they have climbed. And in fact, because they have climbed, they do not need to even speak out to say to people, climb the mountain. People just observe them climbing a mountain and people follow suit. Excuse me. Those are transformational leaders. They lead by example. The difference is that they do not just give instructions. They give instructions by actions because they know that actions speak louder than words. They know that they are role models for their institutions. They know that they are role models even for their families. They know that they are role models for nations. There's a rumble about the events in the United States of America, about Donald Trump refusing to acknowledge that he has lost an election. Even though the results have shown that the elections have been lost, yet he says the elections were rigged. Even though the US has had elections for over 200 years and there has been no complaint of rigging, yet he insists that the elections have been rigged. And you know what? There are people who are now aligning with him to say that it's been rigged. But you see that he's beginning to send a foul signal because the rest of the world looks up to America as far as democracy is concerned. But he's sending a foul signal and people are beginning to get worried and concerned. During the debates, the American debates about the presidential debates, one of the things that stood out was the fact that even though Donald Trump had consistently tried to have this fight with China, that he has a secret account in China. Again, excuse me, I'm not saying that I do not like Trump or I like Trump. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just picking him out as an example to point out to the fact that even though he fights China, yet he has a secret account in China. That's what transactional leaders do. But transformational leaders will live by their lifestyle. They will not oppose you and yet go behind doors to transact with you. No. They are authentic, they are honest, they are truthful when they say anything about any matter. What else do the transformational leaders have that is an advantage for them? They are inspirational, or they have inspirational motivation. So, like I said from the beginning, from the definition, transformational leaders look at tomorrow. They are not concerned about today. Today is important, but tomorrow is much more important in the eyes of the transformational leader. Therefore, they communicate a vision to a group of people that they lead. By communicating this vision, they also create a purpose. They create a purpose such that everybody who relates with them understands that there is a purpose for being where you are at the point where you are. And you know what? Every one of us in life has a purpose. Some may not have discovered theirs, and it's not a difficult thing to discover your purpose. Yet, transformational leaders create a purpose, they create an identity, they create a sense of belonging because they communicate a vision, and they are so open that even though they communicate a vision, they allow you peep into the vision and make changes where necessary. So many years ago, I had the privilege of leading a group of about 5 men, and as soon as I was elected to lead that group, I came up with a document stating the vision for the next 3 years. Because at every time you had the privilege of leading the group only for 3 years, and thereafter you stand for another election for 3 years, and after which your tenure would have been done. So in the first 3 years, I outlined a vision for the organization. And everyone on the team was given that copy of paper to go home, to look into the vision, and to make adjustments or make suggestions where necessary. And of course, 2 or 3 persons came up agreeing with the vision, but making some slight adjustments to how I saw or thought of the vision. And you know what? By those slight adjustments, those ideas grew exponentially beyond my imagination, beyond my thought. I was amazed by how far those thoughts I had grew just by sharing it with others to take a look at it. And these are advantages that consistently follow transformational leaders. Transformational leaders have high standards and they are role models. All right? Transformational leaders communicate vision and they create a purpose such that people follow these purposes and they feel belonging to a group. And you know, the truth is that once you feel belonging to a group, time is no longer a consideration for you as to how much you will work for the progress of the group. You pour all in terms of energy, in terms of resources, in terms of creativity, in terms of time to ensure that the vision is achieved. One other way that the transformational leader differs from the transactional leader is the fact that the transformational leader has individualized consideration. What do I mean by individualized consideration? Now, the transformational leader pays attention to every individual as an individual. Okay? The transformational leader looks at you for who you are. He does not lump you into the group. He does not group you as a collective. He simply looks at you as an individual and relates with every individual based on how the individual wants to be related with, based on the differences between the individuals. And by so doing, the transformational leader coaches and mentors people. Because, by the way, the idea for the transformational leader is that He wants successors. Okay? The transformational leader wants successors. And like someone once said, success without a successor is a failure. Success without a successor, and I do add, success without a good successor is a failure. So, transformational leaders want people who will succeed them. Before Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. died, he had several successors. People who took over as soon as he died, but somehow some of those persons failed to pass the baton on. When Nelson Mandela came out of prison, he came out with a group of persons, and as soon as he became the president, it was almost clear to everyone that Thabo Mbeki will succeed him. And Thabo Mbeki succeeded him. And Jacob Zuma succeeded Thabo Mbeki. And so on and so forth. Why? Because Nelson Mandela had set a foundation for transformation. And in doing that, coaching and mentoring was a part and parcel of the person who he is. I have a leader whose tenure and term has elapsed over an organization that we belong to, but right now is making frantic effort to inscribe the vision of the organization on paper and to pass it on to people to memorize and to hold on. No one will succeed him. And he realizes that. He recognizes that. He didn't raise successors. In fact, there are a number of people that should have succeeded him, but who are angry with him because every time they came up with fantastic ideas, he overruled them, and so people got disgruntled and moved away from him. But right now, his thoughts in the hearts of those people. And for me, it's a goof. He's failed before he started. But transformational leaders have individualized consideration. They relate with individuals for who they are. They relate with everybody as an individual. They do not group you in lump sum and try to relate with you in lump sum. No. Also, transformational leaders have what we call intellectual stimulation. They challenge followers to develop creative and innovative solutions. So they recognize and realize that everyone has some creative intuition. They recognize and realize that everyone has a capacity and capability to provide solution for any situation and problem that arises. And so, rather than breaking their heads to be able to come up with solutions, rather than breaking their heads to be able to impose solutions on people, what they do is they give everyone the room to be able to express themselves, to come up with creative and innovative solutions. Again, you have seen this in several organizations, countries, and families, where once room is given for people to creatively think and to come up with innovative solutions, the solutions that they come up with will surpass the imagination of one person. No wonder John Maxwell says that no one is more knowledgeable than us all. No individual is more knowledgeable than a group of persons. None. We've always heard that two heads are better than one, even though people try to qualify it now to say two good heads. But I actually agree that two heads are better than one. Two are constantly better than one because the result of their work surpasses what an individual can do. I'm a student of the Bible, and I do understand from scripture that one will chase 1,000 and two will chase 10,000. One would have expected, all right, that one would have expected that one would chase 1,000, two would chase 2,000. But no, it says one will chase 1,000 and two will chase 10,000. In other words, the reward for uh, two coming together to work together is greater than an individual at any point in time. Always greater. So transformational leaders are people who always make an attempt to stimulate people intellectually. And by that, they challenge followers to develop creative and innovative solutions to any situation at any point in time. These are the advantages, or at least these are the ways in which transformational leaders differ by far with transactional leaders. Again, just for a recap, you will realize that transactional leaders are people who deal with tax and reward or have a tax and reward orientation. Do me, I do you. Give me with the left hand, I give you with the right hand. They bargain. These are people who believe that leadership is for exceptional and exceptional class. They, if at all, give few opportunities for creative thinking. They believe that decision making should be by leaders and no one else. They also have limited opportunities for followers to be involved. They do not create ample opportunities for followers to be involved. They limit the extent to which followers can be involved in their style of leadership. Meanwhile, the transformational leaders are people who have idealized influence. They are people who are inspirational and motivational. They have individualized consideration. So they consider every individual for who the individual is and what she is and what she can provide on the table. Also, she is an intellectual stimulator. So the transformational leader stimulates people intellectually, even though they have a solution to a problem. They will not proffer it unless everyone has thought and has brought theirs to the table. And most of the times, they will discard their own solution and adopt a preferable solution. These are transformational leaders. And my encouragement for you this hour will be to adopt being a transformational leader. Of course, it is not to say that the transactional leader does not have any form of advantage. It does. There are days that you need to do those bargains. Okay? There are days that you need to do those bargains. But if the wholesomeness of who you are is transactional, you will soon crash. You will soon crash. Like so many leaders around the world are crashing. By way of rounding up, I'll just encourage that you watch this clip even as we round up.
Here are
Thank you.
common styles of leadership. One is called
Okay, sorry. I'll get back to the video again.
transactional and the other transformational. Once you've read through these two types, you'll be able to take a quick assessment in order to determine your own current leadership style. Whilst transactional leaders would usually work within boundaries and set established outcomes, a transformational approach is more future conscious and dynamic. Transactional leadership.
All right, so let me just take myself off. Well, okay, perhaps. Again, I apologize for this break.
If you are a transactional leader, you'll be task and results driven whilst adhering to strict organizational boundaries. Additionally, you'll be motivated to reward people and evaluate performance regularly. You'll be focused on ensuring activities are completed efficiently and effectively. This style of leadership can become especially useful when dealing with strict deadlines and are constrained with resources. It maintains group dynamics whilst evaluating how each team member or employee performs their given task. Transformational leadership. If you're a transformational leader, you focus on engaging and enthusing employees, making sure they understand how their work will help deliver your vision within the company and the values of the organization. As a transformational leader, you'll lead by example whilst inspiring your team to drive change and achieve a common goal. There are important differences between transactional and transformational leaders. There are important differences between transactional and transformational leaders. A transactional leader will understand how rewarding someone will result in more effort being made, whilst a transformational leader will motivate their staff in order to get the best out of them without having to constantly reward. Transactional leadership is more reactive to present concerns, whilst a transformational leader is more hands-on, and by doing this, creates higher expectations in their workers. A transactional leader will use methods such as carrot and stick motivation in order to control workers, as opposed to transformational leaders who inspire their staff in order to motivate them. In order to motivate, a transactional leader will set boundaries whilst producing rewards if goals are met. Transactional leadership is dependent on how well a leader is able to motivate. But transformational leaders have excellent managerial qualities, bond with their team, and build strong relationships.
Thank you. Thank you for your time, and thank you for agreeing to be with me within the last 57 minutes or thereabout. Now, just a few things to say before I round up in appreciating you. Like I said from the start, all right, Born to Lead is starting what I call the Born to Lead Academy. Okay, what I call the Born to Lead Academy. The idea is to ensure that these things are permanented as we learn them. Okay, that's the idea. The idea is to ensure that every one of us seeks the opportunity to be able to be trained as a standard leader. And you would know that when I talk about leadership, I do not talk about people who sit in leadership positions. I'm talking about people who exhibit leadership quality lifestyle or leadership lifestyle. Okay, so you do not necessarily need to be in a leadership position to exhibit leadership. We expect that wherever you find yourself, you will exhibit leadership qualities. So, come 1st February 2021, several courses will be taught by the BTL Leadership Academy. We expect people to register. We expect people to be a part and parcel of this Leadership Academy. And we do hope that from there you would grow into becoming a transformational leader that you have been created to be. So thank you so much for your time. And in line with that, I'll come up with I'll advertise some Zoom meetings, free leadership training on Zoom that will be taking place in the next 3-4 weekends or thereabout. So please be a part and parcel of this, even as I appreciate you and thank you for being online with me within the short period that we have. Thank you so much. If you have any question, anytime you watch this, and if you have any question, please feel free to post it on at the tail end of this video. And as I read through, I will try to respond to the issues as it were. Thank you so much, and do have a blessed week ahead of